In 2012, a group of psychologists collaborated together and tested the symbolic interaction theory. Their names were Rourke, Gillard, Evans, and Blauer. They called this the effect of intentionally designed experiences on friendship skills of youth, an application of the symbolic interaction theory. The psychologists started an after-school program that aimed to test the local youth and their interaction with each other. They did this by using friendship skills, cooperation skills, confidence skills, leadership skills, and feelings of self-worth, which helped increase positive self-esteem. They hypothesized if a recreational activity was introduced to these youth, they would gain additional developmental skills and they would produce a more positive social outcome. As they tested their hypothesis, they concluded that when children are near each other, working toward a common goal of recreation, they will gain better confidence and leadership skills, but will also gain better friendship with each other because through the interaction, they are gaining more positive and happier self-concepts in their minds. As we can see, the symbolic interaction theory has both interpersonal and intrapersonal concepts as part of the theory. These children had language between each other, symbols. These symbols have meaning, which in turn help them to act more friendly with each other. We accept these interpersonal relationships society we have in life internally, intrapersonally. However, this is where the theory turns our symbols from intrapersonal to interpersonal relationships with society. We make the symbols we take in from the interactions we have with others and make them have meaning with our own minds, causing us to act on these interpretations and use them in society. This can happen verbally with words or non-verbally, but with body language. West and Turner, 2014. George Herbert Mead was a theorist of social interaction. Mead studied people his whole life. He completed much schooling in order to posit the symbolic interaction theory. Mead questioned how we as human beings were able to understand and interact and learn from each other. Shalin, 2017. In an article called Extended Mind and Embodied Social Psychology, Historical Perspective, Shalin talks about George Herbert Mead. He states, it was a question of how the impulsive biological organism acquired the capacity for self-awareness, thinking, purposive behavior, and moral discrimination. In short, he attempted to show that mind and self and social emergent, and that language constituted the mechanism for that emergence. The biggest conflict of the movie is the fact that Riley is forced to move away from what she knows into a new horizon. This scares her and causes her to have all sorts of hard things happen. Anger becomes her main emotion in her headquarters. The symbols she's created by this are not good. She's angry all the time. She doesn't see how the Pygmalion effect has to be in her life. She doesn't understand how she has to be what her parents want her to be. She wants to go back to what she knew. She eventually gets to the point where she understands what she needs to do better. She understands that having new and effective healthy symbols in her head allow her to interact with life in a healthy and cognitive way. She realized that life is meant for all emotions, that she does not only need to be happy, sad, angry, disgusted, fearful, but all of them intertwined. This gives her a better attitude about life and allows her to interact with the new symbols she has made in her mind. At this point, she takes more steps toward the looking glass self she is hoping to portray. Walt Disney Studios, 2000. I have watched Inside Out what feels like a million times with my children. I knew this movie was special, as it helped many children to understand where their emotions are coming from. Diving into the symbolic interaction theory, I have found how applicable the symbolic interaction theory is to the movie Inside Out. Symbols are so important to what we understand in our minds. As all of us comprehend this theory, we understand how what we think of ourselves can inspire us to better communicate with each other. When we understand these meanings, we form positive opinions of our own selves. This in turn gives the special connection with society its groundwork. As we go through the process of interacting with others, we produce meaning in our own lives because of the symbols that are given in our interactions. This is brilliant. Inside Out gives us many good examples of how the symbolic interaction theory's main points are evident in our lives. As we interact with people, we gain symbols in our mind. These symbols give us meaning, helping us to understand how to interact within society. This is both interpersonal and intrapersonal. We look to our own selves and out into society. We do this by what we say and how we act. The most pertinent fact to understand is, as we examine the symbolic interaction theory, without its viewpoints, it would be hard to understand the hows and whys of our interactions with others. Without the knowledge of how this works, we would never understand how important the societal interactions we have come from the symbols which come into our minds. This gives us meaning both internally and outwardly as well. We need to understand this theory in order to understand our interactions with the world, and all of this boils down to the meaning in our own lives. Only selves have minds. That is, that cognition only belongs to selves, even in the simplest expression of awareness. George Herbert Mead.